Christine and Felix are a hardworking and successful couple with a daughter named Bobs, whose activities interfere with their daily lives. As a result, they usually take turns picking her up from school, and this time it is Christine's turn. After dropping her daughter off at school, Christine continues her day by attending a children's fashion show. However, halfway through the event, Christine is startled by a phone call with bad news stating that some bodies had been found. She decides not to confront the issue at that moment, but while she is trying to process the situation, a very sick-looking dog appears out of nowhere and starts approaching her, leaving her paralyzed with fear. Shortly afterward, the dog shakes itself, covering Christine with ticks. But soon it is revealed that all of this was a product of her imagination. Or maybe not. 8 months later, Christine finds herself quite ill, yet the tick from her nape had left a mark despite having gone. Nevertheless, Christine prepares for the day, determined to work regardless of her condition. That day, Christine meets with Liz, who appears to be the owner of a clothing brand, and they begin discussing business. It is revealed that Christine usually manufactures her own creations, and that she was inspired after traveling around the world. But Alice, Liz's partner or associate, isn't completely satisfied with them, so she ends up rejecting the designs. Despite that, by the time Christine gets home, she receives a call from Liz telling her that she is willing to accept her designs if a couple of changes are made, and that the clothing will be manufactured in their factories in India to speed up the process. Upon hearing this news, Christine accepts with excitement. Shortly after the call, there is a knock on the door, and there appears Diana, a foreign woman who was supposedly hired by Christine to help with household chores. However, Christine recalls having asked her for help, and despite that, she ends up accepting Diana. While Diana settles into the room that Christine has provided her, she notices the presence of a tick, which she traps inside a matchbox and places in her luggage. Later in the day, Felix and Pop meet Diana, but they don't seem very happy to have her in their home since she is a stranger. Immediately afterward, Diana begins working without wasting any time, collecting ashes from the fireplace. Then, while wandering around the house, she manages to spy on and overhear a conversation between Felix and Christine, who were arguing about Diana's sudden arrival at their home, to which Christine explains to Felix that she will soon be very busy and that, in fact, she will need his help. As a result, Felix decides to give Diana a 1-week trial period. Night falls and Diana is found cooking dinner for the family, adding a strange spice to the food. At dinner, everyone is surprised by how delicious Diana's cooking is, but suddenly Christine has a severe muscle spasm that knocks her to the floor. At this, Diana tries to help her and, surprisingly, manages to make the spasm go away after tickling her, which Christine appreciates. Later, when everyone is asleep, Diana sneaks into Christine's study, where it is revealed that she has an obsession with Christine's brand, Tiki. Continuing her investigation, she discovers a newspaper article with a photo of Christine alongside a girl who turns out to be Diana's daughter, linking their pasts. After this, Diana decides to go to sleep, but not before placing some fireplace ashes in front of her door for some reason. As she drifts off, Diana remembers her youth when she met and had fun with a charming young man. In the morning, Box, another character, notices the ashes in front of Diana's door and realizes that they contain footprints very similar to those of a child. In another scene, while waiting for Diana to get into the car, Bobs confesses to Christine that she saw the footprints in front of Diana's door. On the other hand, Christine seems to be in pretty bad shape since she even forgets the school address for her daughter. As a result, Bobs ends up guiding her to school. Once they drop her off, Christine tells Diana about her illness, to which Diana offers her help once again. At home, Diana prepares a strange medicinal ritual, leaving Christine somewhat skeptical. When the remedy is finished, Christine asks Diana where she learned that, and Diana explains that when she was very young, a dying witch-like woman visited her home, and at the moment of her death, she revealed to Diana the secret of the remedy death, transferred her soul to Diana, which made the young girl have a better understanding of the world in general, as well as the powers of summation, which she used to earn money by healing people. Next, she asks Christine to move, and as she does, she notices that her tremors have disappeared and that she feels as if her mind is no longer clouded. Here, Diana tells her to rest, arguing that it is not forever, but Christine decides to take advantage of her well-being to work later. Diana returns to wait for Christine and Felix, where it seems Felix agrees to stay with Diana because of Christine's improved state, although he does not seem to fully believe the story. Shortly afterward, Diana sets up an altar in her room where she places the matchbox with the tick inside, along with a photo featuring her daughter. Almost simultaneously, Christine arrives in the room, which causes Diana to hide the altar. Immediately afterward, Christine explains the rest of her symptoms as well as her encounter with that strange dog, asking for help. Diana agrees, asking for Christine's trust in return. After this conversation, Diana performs all sorts of strange treatments on her, explaining that she has something bad hidden inside her and that she will show it to her so she can put an end to whatever is imprisoning her. At night, Bob sees Diana floating in the sky, staring intently from outside the house. In the morning, she explains to Felix what she saw, but he tells her that she was probably dreaming. In another scene, Diana is seen collecting various fluids and parts of Christine, such as nails, blood, and hair, to then begin a ritual. A memory crosses Diana's mind in which a group of armed men destroy a place, forcing her to escape with her husband and baby, ending up on the streets spending the night in a rough area. Back in the present, in the morning, Christine's medicines disappear, and Diana explains that Christine herself removed them, leading her to believe that she must have suffered some memory loss. Diana asked her not to worry, saying that she doesn't need them anyway, and that she must trust her. However, Felix doesn't seem to believe her in the slightest. Shortly afterward, Diana takes Bobs to school, but the girl still does not like Diana. The bell rings and Bobs enters class, where Diana can see a group of girls throwing Bob's cap and teasing her. Meanwhile, while Christine is working at home, she has a psychotic episode in which her entire study catches fire, and she is unable to get out. Felix eventually enters the study, saving her from that horrible illusion, but he is now gravely concerned about his wife's condition. An intoxicated Felix ends up turning to Diana in the middle of the night, asking her to get out of Christine's head. However, she refuses, so Felix insults her, at which point Diana manages to calm him down and gets him to leave the room. As he exits, Bob's pet bird starts annoying Felix, so he ends up hitting it without realizing it, killing the bird on the spot. In the morning, Bob's is depressed, and Diana comforts her to the point where Bob's apologizes for her bad attitude. Immediately afterward, Diana asks her to be friends, which the girl accepts. In another scene, Diana performs another one of her rituals on Christine, which triggers another psychotic episode in her, where it seems that the evil entity inside her is revealed. After this, Diana appears to be incredible in the house. Felix goes to check Diana's room and ends up finding the altar, as well as a mysterious bag under the bed, returning with Christine. Christine then meets with Liz and they discuss the new clothing line, where everything seems to be going perfectly. Meanwhile, Diana and Bobs are in a park where Diana is teaching Bobs how to talk to crows. Back at home, Christine arrives upbeat because of her deal with Liz, but her smile fades when Felix reveals that the bag under Diana's bed contained all of her medicines. Shortly afterward, Diana and Bobs arrive, so Christine and Felix confront Diana, at which point Diana tells Christine that she can no longer continue helping her because she does not trust her. Immediately afterward, the couple kicks Diana out of the house. At the same time, Pop is very depressed by the departure of her new friend, so Diana asks her to do something for her so that they can be together forever. After this, Diana leaves the house. In a flashback, we see Diana sadly saying goodbye to her husband as she packs her things at night, while Christine, trying to sleep, sees a giant tick climbing onto her bed only to attack her. However, it turns out to be an illusion, from which Felix wakes her up. Christine quickly turns on the light only to realize that the tick is on Felix's face, causing her to scream in horror, only to wake up again and realize that her psychotic episode is still continuing since the tick is on her, as well as the appearance of the sick dog from the morning. Christine takes her medicines only to find that the wound left by the tick is bleeding. Later, Bobs confesses to her mother that Diana did not take the pills, but instead saw them in her father's car. Upon hearing this, Christine gets angry at Felix and confronts him, but he, remaining rational, says that they must find out why Bobs is lying. However, a delirious Christine doesn't know whom to believe. At that moment, Felix decides to move his things to another room to give himself some space, and while going up the stairs, a group of birds attack him, causing him to fall, and an ambulance takes him to the hospital. The next day, Christine takes Box to her work. While in a cave, Diana is performing a musical ritual in which Christine starts to hear it. This triggers her psychosis, and she sees all the people in the place as if they were covered with tics, behaving erratically. When her episode ends, Christine is terrified, as are all the people around her, because she had caused a scene. Later that day, while Christine is resting in bed, the doorbell rings. Pop answers the door and lets Diana in, which exasperates Christine, who can barely see her as Diana tells her that they will finish what they started once again. In Diana's memories, we see her entering a factory with her daughter, hiding the little girl under the sewing table. It is revealed here that Diana had worked for Tiki, Christine's brand. In the present, Diana has Christine working on the sewing machine, making her sweat as she used to force her to work, thereby revealing that she never intended to cure her, but rather to take revenge in the past. After Diana leaves to get some water for her daughter, a fire breaks out in the factory, and since the doors were locked, they couldn't get out in time, resulting in her daughter's death in that fire. In the present, Christine's psychosis makes her relive the moment. After this, it is revealed that from the beginning, all of Christine's ills were a curse by Diana, who threatens that just as Christine took her daughter away, she will take Bob's away. Diana leaves the room and leaves Christine in the midst of her psychosis. Diana goes to Box and promises her that she will be with her forever, only to then jump from the roof of the house and fall in front of Bob's, passing her soul to the little girl. On the other hand, Felix has just arrived at the house and finds his wife in her study, completely scorched. Meanwhile, the spirit of Diana visits her husband, saying goodbye to him. Everything ends with Pop in the woods collecting plants to learn about her powers, with Diana watching her from afar.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.